Now then, welcome back to the Judge Skiff channel. Today we're talking about Luis Diaz and Cody Gakpo. Should either stay, should either go, should both go? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to start by saying this. I don't think either should go. I think both are great assets for the club and I think they both offer their worth. Absolutely. Neither are, maybe underachieving is the wrong word, but I think both are on track. Both are definitely on track. Gakpo and Diaz have both had good seasons in my opinion, and a lot of people giving them unnecessary sticks, certainly Luis Diaz, in terms of not having the output perhaps Mo Salah's having, but at the same time we are comparing these two players with an absolute freak, a superstar for the right hand side. It's very unfair to compare them to. I think if we do get £70 million for Diaz from Saudi, I'd absolutely through gritted teeth say, you know what, reluctantly, you can have my favourite player. He's my favourite player in the squad, by the way, guys. I don't know if you can tell. I would never lose the guy. But if we do get £70 million, I could absolutely see that fee or the hand being shook. Gakpo, though, I think Gakpo's worth about £60 million, maybe more. I don't think Bayern Munich are particularly asked to offer that much money and part ways that much money on someone like Gakpo, I've got to say. So I think it makes sense for both to stay, unless there is a stupid bid for either of them. But it does beg the question, and let me know in the comments please, I'd love to hear your opinion. Who should start next year? Should there be like a first choice and the other one just kind of falls at the knees and maybe tries to win the position back? Should it be a rotational thing, cup competitions, or should it be a selective thing? And I think it absolutely should be a selective thing. I think depending on who the opposition is, we should select given who we're playing. And I think that's been relevant this year. That's been what we've been doing at times. But it's been different. We've been selecting Diaz to play up front based on the centre-back pairing we're maybe coming up against. If they're maybe more of an aggressive centre-back, maybe we don't play Diaz. It's like, I think that will carry on into next year. I want to give you some examples though. I think Gakpo plays against the bottom 10 side. Hypothetically speaking, if there's a bottom 10, Gakpo will play against them. I think Gakpo's asset in terms of his ability on the ball, his ability to create something from nothing, his ball striking, the ability to knock the ball out of his feet and shoot is really good against perhaps a low block side or a team who aren't willing to come at us and attack. I think Gakpo is also, not that he doesn't run or isn't a workhorse, but he probably does run less than Diaz, or he's less willing to put the miles in than Luis Diaz. But I think against the top sides, Diaz is a better asset for me. I think Diaz is a better runner. I think he's better on the counter-attack. His pace is such a big asset, and that's something Gakpo doesn't necessarily have. Not that Gakpo's slow at all. I think he actually is quite underratedly fast, Gakpo. Certainly off the mark. It is over a metre or two. I think he's really rapid. His acceleration is good, but he's not particularly... He doesn't really utilise that pace, does he, like Diaz does? He doesn't knock the ball past someone and sprint past them. He doesn't square the fullback up in the face, in the eyes, and go, I'm going to run at you now, try and stop me, like Diaz does. Gakpo likes to use the little shake, likes to knock the ball out of his feet and get a shot away. And as I say, I think against the bottom sides, or maybe the less good sides, that's not particularly correct. The sides who are less willing to come at us and play, Gakpo's a better asset in my opinion. Shooting from outside the box, when you can't when you can't get inside the box like Diaz likes to operate, you've got to try something else. And Gakpo shooting from far is, I think, a better option. I look against this. Look, there's a case study this season in the Carabao Cup. How many goals did he score within West Ham games? I mean, Jesus, he scored 2 against West Ham, 2 crackers, and that can be done against teams who don't come at us, but against teams who do, expose players, against teams who have got gaps in the back, against teams like a Man City or an Arsenal, Diaz is the better asset for me in terms of just exploiting that space in behind, getting in behind, and I think he's an harder player to mark and pick up. And I think, let's look at Arsenal for example. Arsenal like to maybe invert, maybe not Timber, but Timber likes to get further forward or maybe get involved in midfield at times. I think someone like Diaz is much harder to mark for Timber than Gakpo, I will say, in them games. I do think Gakpo, though, he plays very wide. He likes to start wide, maybe deeper as well. He likes to pick the ball up deeper and drive more centrally into the pitch, whereas Diaz likes to pick the ball maybe a bit further up the pitch and start a bit further up the pitch, but run more direct. He doesn't like to come more central. He likes to pin that man, that fullback, and take him on and go more towards the goal. Gakpo tends to go to more towards the middle of the pitch, which I think against like an Arsenal is not ideal. They like to cram the midfield, full-backs invert in. Look at Man City, that they've played like 100 centre-backs inverting in. Someone like Gakpo I don't think is useful against them sides. Maybe not useful, of course he's useful. He's a fully grown adult who's a very good footballer. Of course he's useful, but more useful, who can we take more advantage of? I think Diaz in them games. So that's how I think I would split them. That's how I think I'd select them next year. And I think Arne Slot will do the same thing. I think it'll be interesting to see the dynamic between them two and Kirkes coming off the left-hand side. This is like an all-action left-back who likes to get up and down. Look at his heat map. You look at, there was a graph I saw the other day. People like to use the graphs, like all these trendy graphs and stuff. And it was intensity actions, or actions with intensity across the big 5 leagues among fullbacks. Frimpong was top right of the screen. That's where you want him. That's a good sign. And Kirkes wasn't far below. Kirkes was one of them players who likes to bob up and down and use that pace, and he's very intense. I think he's not one of them players who's happy to just watch the game passing by. He's always looking to get involved, whether it's defensive or offensive. More so offensive, I will say. His crossing superb. But I'm getting sidetracked. That dynamic and that partnership between Kirkes and Gakpo, I was going to say Florian Wirtz then, guys, oh my god, it was so close to coming out my mouth, and Gakpo Diaz is interesting. Who do you think in the comments, let me know down below, would make a better partnership? Kirkes and Gakpo, Kirkes and Diaz, Kirkes and, dare I say, Florian Wirtz, who I think is a question to play off the left-hand side. I don't think he will. We saw at Leverkusen, they've kind of played a 3-4-3 kind of thing. He played behind the striker off the left, and he had a very good partnership with Grimaldo off the left-hand side. But it's a different circumstance. It's a different formation. It's a different league. I don't think you can get away with playing someone like Grimaldo and Frimpong in the Premier League, certainly with 2 centre-backs behind him. I think Kirkes will be a bit more conservative as a left-back in comparison to a Grimaldo, who was absolutely a winger at times, same with Frimpong. I think the partnership of Gakpo and Kirkes will align more than Diaz and Kirkes, in my opinion, contrary to me saying I'd play Diaz more in more games. That's just what I think the space they take up is very similar, Diaz and Kirkes. I think Kirkes would have to maybe invert more than he has done at Bournemouth. At Bournemouth, he's been that overlapping asset, that player who's going to whip the cross in like a 2018 Andy Robertson. So many of them this year, on the money with so many crosses. But this year, I think, might be interesting to see if he does invert more than he did at Bournemouth. And I think he's a player who's capable of doing that. He's a very technically gifted player. He's physically quite good as well. And he's also good at winning the ball back up the pitch. And that's something I think you can look at with a partnership with Luis Diaz. Both of them players are good at winning the ball back high up the pitch. There's a stat, isn't there? I think have I made this entirely up? I think him, Ola Reina, are in the top 10 percentile of winning duels in the final half. In the second half, in the opposition half, I should say. They like to get it done high up the pitch. And I think with Diaz as well, that echoes with Luis Diaz. Effort, work rate, both of these players have it in abundance. Not to say that Gakpo doesn't, but I think he can go missing perhaps at times off the ball. I think it's going to be very exciting. It's a team with a lot of pace now. The pace angle has significantly been injected into the side with Frimpong, one of the fastest players in the world as far as I can see, and not just because of his FIFA card. Kirkes as well, not shy of a sprint, and he's very fast. Hello. Was he beeping at me? Maybe. If he was, maybe he's a Kirkes admirer. Maybe he reckons Diaz should play with Kirkes. Let me know what you think down below. But yeah, that pace angle is very strong. Salah maybe not looking like slowing them down anytime soon, but he is, let's face the facts, getting on a bit in 2 years. Will Salah be that blistering, that sharp player we know he is now? Probably, yeah. Probably just continue to defy biology. If anything, he's getting quicker, but it's like, you've got to prepare for the eventuality of Salah declining or leaving, or both. I don't think either will happen. I don't think both will happen, sorry. I think it will actually be just him leaving and replacing that pace. Nunes looking like leaving as well. There's the pace angle gone. Admittedly, Nunes has been crap, but one of the things he actually had, one of his main assets was the pace angle, which we're losing. And I think Kirkes and Frimpong and Diaz are now offering that pace angle with Salah as well. Let me know your thoughts down below. As a pairing, who would you pick? Kirkes and Diaz, or Kirkes and Gakpo? Who would you start depending on the game? Let's say Champions League final against PSG the other day. Who are you starting, Diaz or Gakpo? For me, it's Luis Diaz. The ability to get in behind, the ability to, or just as that tricky asset to mark for a top side, it's Luis Diaz for me.